The next component in a good prompt is any necessary input data. Now, not every prompt needs this, but a lot of the time you'll have some information that you need to provide to the model. So you have your instructions, you have the context, the instructions, and then you have the input data. And it's recommended that you do follow this order. You have your context set first, then the task, and then any input data. So let me just show you an example here, something like this. You are a spelling and grammar checking assistant. That's setting the context. Given the following input text, please correct any mistakes and improve the overall quality of the writing. That is the task. And then we have the actual input data. My name is called Steele and I have too many pets, a lot of spelling and grammar issues in there. So that's the input in yellow here. It's a silly example. Here's another one. Generate an outline for a 1,000-word essay based on the following prompt. And then we have the actual input. How will ChatGPT change the ways we work? It can sometimes be useful to wrap your input, if it's actual text, wrap the input in quotes, or do something like this right here. Act as the world's best cover letter writer, so that's our initial context. Then we have the task. I will give you the job description for a role I'm applying for, and you will write me a concise and effective cover letter. And then, instead of just including the job description, we can say, here is the job description, just to make it clear. Sometimes the model can get tripped up when there's just a bunch of text, and some of that text is instructions, and some of the text is data. So it can be useful to separate it out and say, here is the description, or even just write the word description : It's very flexible, but that's one example. So let's try that. Let's find a job description. I'm on the OpenAI website. Let's say I want to become a research scientist at OpenAI. I can take all this information. I don't know how much of this. Wow, that's a pretty nice compensation range. Let's see how much of this we want. Probably just the about the role, we expect you, and nice to have maybe. Let's just start with that, just for the sake of time. So act as the world's best cover letter writer. That's our initial context. I will give you the job description for a role I'm applying for, and you will write me a concise and effective cover letter. Then, I'm hitting Shift Enter, by the way, just to format this for myself. I can then provide here, let's see, here's the job description. And then I'll just paste it here. And that should do it for me. So as long as I'm telling it, this is now separate from all the instructions. It usually can figure it out anyway, but by using this signifier, here is the description, it can be helpful. Another thing you'll see some people do is separate their instructions from their data using some sort of character, an arrow or an equal sign, dashes. There's a lot of options. It doesn't really matter. Now let's see what it does. Okay, so it wrote me a cover letter. It is, I've already read it. It's decent. There are some problems. Of course, first of all, it just leaves space for us to put our name and contact info in, which makes sense. But also, it kind of lies. We didn't give it any specific details about us, the user or the person that the cover letter is being written for, and that's something we could definitely provide as input. This video is not really about writing a cover letter writing prompt. We'll have a separate video later on when I talk about, specific prompts, and one of those prompts will be a resume and cover letter writing prompt. That's not the focus here. The main takeaway from this video is just the concept of providing input data, of being able to say, here is your context, here is your job or your task, and here's the information you need to complete it. Here's your input data. And there's many different formats. You can provide data as text like this. You can provide data as a table, as JSON, as code. We'll see some of those examples later. For now, just know we often need to provide data.